Hi there. I wanted to provide this PowerPoint presentation as a parent training to kind of make the process of teaching your child to wear a mask a little bit less intimidating, less daunting, and to make everyone realize that there's easy, simple things that we can do to help our child be more open and willing and tolerable to wearing a mask. So, some helpful tips before we start. Practice as often as your child allows. We're going to talk about this a little bit later, but just follow their lead. This is going to be a critical skill necessary for your child to be as safe as possible in a community setting moving forward. Unfortunately, we don't know how long this is going to last, and it could be necessary for the foreseeable future. So it's better to work on it now versus later. Also, it allows for social opportunities to get outside the house. It allows you to help build skills to tolerate wearing your masks so that you and your child and your entire families can go and get some sort of normalcy back in their lives. And you can go grocery shopping and you could go, out to dinner or whatever the case is. So it's going to, allow you for so many more doors to open. But most importantly, it's for safety. It helps keeps you safe, it helps keeps your child safe, and it helps keep others around them safe. So before we start, we're going to pick a highly preferred food item, a toy, an activity, etc., whatever it is, but we're going to use it only for practice with wearing a mask. It doesn't matter what it is, it just has to be super reinforcing. So if that's a snack, if that's a game, if that's going to the playground, if it's taking a walk, whatever it is, we're going to isolate that just to use for wearing a mask. It has to be motivating enough for them to want it and to continue learning and working on this skill. With that being said, we want to have a couple of different options for face coverings so that we're able to work on this skill. Whether it's those N95 masks, the gator mask, the tube masks, Velcro, whatever it is, have a couple of different options available because you might find that one of them is more comfortable than the others. You have to be also willing to be a model for your child. If they see you wearing a mask, they might be more willing to wear one, and it helps them become more familiar with it. If they see mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, you know, home workers, whoever it is wearing a mask, it's going to help desensitize them, and then it's going to make it seem more of a familiar and more normalized thing in their lives. And I think most importantly, we're going to be starting small, but you're going to want to keep the goal in mind. So, unfortunately, there's going to be times where your child may be required to wear a mask, whether it's on a transportation, a visit to the doctor's office, a trip to the store, whatever the situation is. We're going to encounter times when it's necessary and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So, we're going to start small, but just keep the goal in mind. Okay, step one, try it out. See if or for how long they're willing to wear a mask, but don't push it. So present the mask in whatever form you find is most tolerable, and present it to your child and follow their lead. If they let you put it on them, then go for it. If they're resistant to it being literally anywhere near their face, that's okay too. Just praise them for whatever they allowed, big or small, and just kind of see where they're at. Get kind of an idea. So step number two, we already talked about this, but we're going to isolate one thing. We're going to find something to use as a reinforcer only for working on wearing a mask. We want to make sure that it's something that they really enjoy, not something that they just kind of enjoy. It needs to be powerful enough for them to want to wear the mask. And this is going to make whatever that item is more preferred and more accessible only if they wear a mask. So it might make wearing a mask a little bit more easier, I guess, if it means that they get access to whatever at the end of the practice sessions. So we're going to start small. It doesn't have to be huge time chunks, but you need to have to commit to working on it multiple times a day for the foreseeable future. It's not necessary to block off hours at a time, but block off a few minutes here and a few minutes there a couple of times throughout the day. And the more often you practice, the better it's going to be for your child. You can do 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. You can practice when they're in the cars, at grandma and grandpa's house, whatever it is. But the more you do it, the better it's going to be. So step 4, be a model. When working on this, it's helpful for you to wear your mask too Kids learn through models. It helps to build familiarity because if they see mom or dad wearing one, they're going to kind of realize that it's not hard, it's not scary, it's not different, it's just what it is. It's going to help contribute to desensitization of the masks and the desensitization of them seeing other people in masks as well. And switching it up in different settings and with different people helps to generalize the skill. All right, so we're going to want to make it fun. There are tons of options out there for masks, and we kind of talked about a few of them already. Some masks have different fun designs. So if your kid likes cars, get a car mask. If their favorite color is blue, get a blue mask. Be willing to go out and have a few different options because you're more likely to find one that's more tolerable for your child, and it might make it a little bit more appealing for them to put the mask on if it's got their favorite movie characters, their favorite Game Boy characters, whatever it is. So I think this is a really important point to harp home. Not everyone is going to be starting out at the same point with working with their child. There's going to be different starting points, but for each individual child, start at the spot where they comfortably tolerated the mask. If they allowed you to keep it on for 4 minutes, but one time it happened to stay on for 9 minutes, go with the 4 minutes and start there. If they allowed you to put the mask on them correctly, that's amazing. We're going to focus on wearing it for longer durations of time. If they allowed you to put it on them, but it wasn't quite the right way, it wasn't over their nose, whatever the situation is, we're going to focus on wearing it properly. Or, if they allowed you to put it near their face, we're going to focus on getting it on their face. And then, worst case scenario, if they allowed you just put it on the table next to them, start there, and we're going to start bringing it closer and closer to them and work it up towards their face, putting it on the right way and increasing the duration of time. I think the important thing to remember here is that no matter where your starting point is, there's always room to grow. This, I think, is arguably the most important thing of this whole entire process. It's the reinforcement. So I can't drive home enough how important it is to reinforce this skill. For you, like all of us here, this is kind of an uncomfortable and it's a very novel thing for all of us. And we're not a child who is trying to learn this skill from scratch. Imagine how difficult it is for your child if we understand how difficult it is for us. So we're going to reinforce the heck out of wearing a mask. If you see that the reinforcement is no longer working and that fun thing is no longer fun, look for something else. You might have to switch it up a couple of times throughout the process, but honestly, that's okay. So you need to make sure that you have a highly preferred item throughout. So whether that's a certain snack, if it's toys, if it's games, whatever it is, we really, really want to make sure that it's motivating for your child to do this task that's kind of difficult. And with that being said, there are different options. So if you've got 3 snacks out, you can ask your child, hey, we're going to work on something really quick. What do you want to work for? We've got chips and pretzels and fruit snacks, and let them pick. It gives them a little bit of choice. It gives them control. And then it allows you to have options down the road. So keep moving forward. It's important to keep progressing your child through this process. It doesn't need to be intense. You just kind of need to keep moving them and see some sort of progression, whether it's how long they keep it on, how close it is to their person, how accurately they wear it, whatever it is, just keep pushing. But don't push them too hard. We don't want this to be a process where it's aversive, and we don't want the mask itself to become aversive. And if your child begins to show resistance, take a break. Take a 10-minute break, take an hour break, whatever it is. Just revisit it later on. But if you continue to notice that your child's still resisting, we might have moved on too quickly. So you're going to want to take a step back, and that's okay. So summing it up really quick, I know we threw a lot of stuff at you, but this is going to be a critical skill for your child to have. It's safety for everyone involved. It allows for so many opportunities for your child to have. And again, unfortunately, it might be what we have to deal with for the foreseeable future. Like I said before, children learn through watching, so model it for them. If mom can do it, they can do it too. If grandma and grandpa can do it, and neighbors can do it, and friends and family can do it, it's possible for them to do it too. But in order to do that, we need to make it fun and we need to make it motivating. Try different masks, have different people wearing masks. Try wearing the mask in different settings, have fun prints, characters, colors, whatever it is. Just trying to make it more appealing. So we're going to start small and we're going to take baby steps. This is not going to be a quick process. And we're going to need to start at different points for all of us, and that's okay. Start wherever your child allows. We want them to be successful, so we're not going to make the goals unachievable for them. And with that being said, the more you practice, the better. 5 minutes here and 5 minutes there with different people, different settings, it's going to make a big difference down the road. It's not requiring you to block off hours and hours of your day. Just if you have some downtime, pick up the mask, try it out, reinforce, and then, an hour or two later, do the same thing all over again. And reinforce this skill. You're going to need to switch it up a couple of times, and that's okay. Ask them those questions. What do you want to work for today? Do you want to work for, going to the park, or do you want to watch your video games for an extra 5 minutes? And we talked about, having those activities and those tangibles and those edible food items as reinforcement, but social praise is just as important. Giving them a high five, a thumbs up, a pat on the back, wow, that was amazing. You did such a great job. I loved how you let me touch the mask to your hand. That was beautiful. Great job. That's going to go a long way as well. Again, don't push. We don't want to make this leave a bad taste in their mouths because, again, it's going to be required. It's going to be critical. And if we kind of make it aversive right from the get-go, it's going to make it way, way, way harder going down the road. So again, this is going to take time. Please do not get discouraged and don't honestly have any expectations ultimately right away, and don't have unrealistic goals for your child. Small steps, baby steps, practice. It's going to take time, but I promise if you take this sort of approach to it, you're going to see much more success down the road. So remember, it's not going to be quick, it's not going to be easy, and it's going to take some time, but it's going to take a commitment. And like I said before, if you kind of remember these tips and tricks when you're working on this skill with your child, you're going to be a little bit more successful. But I think ultimately, do not get discouraged. Don't expect your child to be wearing a mask by next week, because I'm telling you, it's not going to happen. Just, take those small successes and those small victories and use that to keep you going. And it's going to be a little bit easier for all of us involved. But with that being said, if you have any questions, if you're struggling, if you need tips, if you need help, if you need, individualized steps and you need things broken down, please, please, please reach out to me. I can be available through email, by phone. I'm willing to do whatever because I understand how important this is and how necessary it's going to be. And I want to make your child and your family as successful as possible. So please reach out. And thanks for sticking through this presentation.